between. I'm Katie, and along with Claudia Calzetta, we run the Loretto Volunteer Program on Loretto's behalf. These 8 fantastic, inspiring young adults have been with us for the last year or so, working full-time in social justice ministries of various sorts in DC and St. Louis, live in community in volunteer houses in those 2 cities, and together they explore the 4 core values of the program, which are also values that are dear to the little community: justice, spirituality, simple living, and community. We've been talking about those values this week at our closing retreat. It's clear that those 4 distinctions are actually somewhat very, and it's all interconnected, these values. But for the sake of being able to get out and talk about it, we do separate it into these 4 core values, and those are what we're going to spend a little time talking about tonight. I'll just briefly have folks introduce themselves. They'll say the name and what city and what their work has been for the past year. You can just move that as you go, if you can.
Hi, I'm Jillian Severinsky, and I've been in the St. Louis community. Is this? No? Yes? Can you hear me? Yes. Well, okay, my name is Jillian Severinsky, and I've been living in the St. Louis community since mid-October, and I've been placed at the Interfaith Community in Latin America, where I do American advocacy work and some community organizing.
Hi, my name is Molly Butler, and I have been working in DC at an organization called Community of Hope. I worked at other family shelters doing mostly children's programming and some other miscellaneous case management tasks.
I'm Tali Singer, and I've been living in the DC house working with Maureen Fiedler at Interfaith Voices.
This is Bob Shine. I'm part of the DC community, although I live apart from them on our satellite campus, and I have been working New Ways Ministry doing gay and lesbian advocacy. Loretto's sister Janine Graham founded.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Fox. I live in the St. Louis community. I've been working at Marion Middle School primarily in the language arts classroom, specializing in reading interventions.
Hi, my name is Wendy Millette. I have been living in DC, and I work at WATER, which is the Women's Alliance for Theology, Ethics, and Ritual.
Hi, I'm Katie Hughes. I'm part of the St. Louis community. I've been working at Family Care Health Centers with Dr. Abby Sudvar and helping out with the free classes that we hold there.
Hey everyone, my name is Caroline Riebling, and I've been living in DC. I work at a place called Academy of Hope, and it's a nonprofit adult education place. I teach classes there, and I do some of their programming as well.
So thanks for bearing with the awkwardness of the setup. It's part of the fun. We'll move into the heart of the matter, which is a panel discussion about the 4 core values of the program. The way that this is going to be structured is I've got 4 things that I'll be asking our panelists this evening. 2 of them will address each of those questions. After we've heard kind of that initial, then we'll open it up to anyone in the Mother House community or out in afar to ask questions of the panelists. So be listening closely and be thinking about what you might want to follow up on or what you might want to ask about. Further ado, we'll go ahead and ask the first question this evening, which is about our core value of social justice, which is simply how your understanding of social justice evolved throughout your year.
So I'm going to start. Did you still want me to stand and be loud? So I should have mentioned earlier, I've been working with ISCLA, with Marilyn Loren, and this past week we've been really reflecting on the Loretto values, including social justice, and I had a memory pop in my head just the other day, which I think is a good mark of how I've evolved. And I finished my undergrad last year at Loyola University of Chicago, which is a Jesuit school with an emphasis on social justice. And I had a paper that I presented at our research symposium, and it was about United States military and monetary aid to El Salvador during the 80s and comparing it to today. And at that event, there was a man who came and talked to me about my paper for a little bit. He left and walked away, and then came back almost with tears in his eyes, and he asked me with gendered language, but he said, "Why is such a young, beautiful girl working on depressing issues?" And I never had anyone ask me that question, and so I was kind of shocked by that, and I probably had a nervous laugh and joked, but you know, if I don't care about them, who will? And I think that's where the beginning of my evolution throughout this past year at Loretto. So my experiences abroad really led me to work with the Interfaith Committee in Latin America, and for the past year, working on issues related to immigration and extractive industries. And one of my greatest successes was starting this roundtable on extractive industries in the St. Louis area. Our first event was called Greetopia, a teaching on global trade and climate change. And so with this discussion, it's several environmentally focused organizations, and we're trying to work together to focus on local and global issues, because see that they are interconnected, they are related, and that we need to start a bigger movement than just focusing on one coal plant or one Keystone pipeline or one mining, a lead smelting plant in Peru. It's been extremely fulfilling, but I've also done some advocacy with state and national legislators and brought in speakers to talk about gold mining in El Salvador, and other research on a lot of things related to industries. But from Loretto's I've talked to in Denver and here at the Mother House, and the ones I've heard about who have passed away, like Ann Manganero, I've not only act in solidarity with people who are oppressed either here or abroad, but to really join hands with those who are the most affected, the most marginalized, the most voiceless. And I think that the injustice that they face is part of a system of injustice that really oppresses and affects us all. From these various photos and my experience, I've found 4 different components of what solidarity means and what social justice means from a uniquely Loretto standpoint. And I think the first is to be present to the suffering of others, and is to stand with them, not for them, not be their voice, but to help give them a voice. And to with them, number 3 is to start create opportunities for individual agency, and is to recognize our own role in an oppressive system. And to point, I've read about my work because within the oil, gas, and mining industries, we all role either as an engineer who works at a mine, or as a shareholder in a wealthy corporation, or as an affected community member who might be suffering from cancer because of the effects, or like most of us, as a consumer. Actually, as a consumer, we need to be aware of our role because of corporations and the United States government use consumers and their constituents as a way to justify a lot of actions that perpetuate injustice and violence against others. And I bet throughout this last year, I've realized that one violence or one group of people that is oppressed, that does affect them, but it's really symbolic of a greater system of oppression that affects us all. To end by saying, if the same man were to be in this room tonight, and when he afterwards, oh, why do you talk about such depressing things all the time? I probably, because these topics and issues don't just affect someone who is not here, who is not present, who is in a different country, but really because these issues and topics affect me, and it affects him, and it affects us, it affects the world that we live in. And I really believe that we can intentionally create a more just and peaceful world.
Do I need to stand? Okay. Make sure I can be picked up by everything. Okay. Hi.
So as I'm beginning to reflect on social justice as a core Loretto value, I was going back over my application and my pre-this survey, trying my brain for all the different kinds that I came into the program with. And as I was reflecting, the one conclusion that I could come to was that I don't have any conclusions at all at this point. And that my understandings of social justice and definition of that really broad has just been come this year, but in the best kinds of ways. Like I mentioned earlier, I worked this year at Community of Hope at a family shelter in a neighborhood of DC where I was interacting with, working with a group of families, most same families throughout the year, and had an opportunity to get to know the needs of the community and sense of the community and the ways that functions. But one of the things that I came into this year kind of struggling with was this whole like direct service versus advocacy, like social justice versus service versus social change as a dichotomy. And I'm realizing now that it can't be just that these need to work together. And I'm going to be doing a second Loretto year, but I'll be at the UN working with done, which I'm really, really looking forward to. But it's been this tension myself of struggling to figure out what my role is in social justice work and how I can really be passionate about grassroots, community-based work, while also think these issues function globally and that we can think of them on a more macro scale. So the opportunity to work next year, and I also, as I on this, thought about the ways that you and Loretto as a community has inspired this shift for me. I think about the ways that the community initially went to communities and was kind about provide education for those who didn't have access, and that they were really rooted in those communities, but over have been able to grow and to think on different levels. So I kind of see that as the ways, one of the I'm growing, that I'm able to think I've worked with and the humanity of that and be really passionate about that kind of work, but also take that with me as I work in policy. And Loretto still has education at its heart. It's able to then think of intersections that exist there and the ways that this world all coexist and can be powerful work. So really inspired by you, and thank you for that. And I'm looking forward to working with Loretto next year, through being able to more of the way we can all work for social change.
That's the question. We're going to keep talking. I've got to talk now. Both. I'm sorry, I'm just going to lean over them now that they have spoken. I'd now like to ask a question about the core value of spirituality. It's a very simple question, although maybe not simple in practice. Has spirituality played out in your community this year?
I'm going to start out by saying a little bit about my background. I'm Jewish. I was raised in a very strong Jewish home, and I went to college at Brandeis University, which has a very vibrant Jewish community. So one of the challenges for me coming into the Loretto Volunteer Program was, what does it mean to be Jewish in a Catholic context, and what does it mean to be a Jewish person in a household where there are no other Jews? Going in that it would be a challenge, and it was. And I also knew that I wanted to seek out Jewish communities in D.C., which I have, and I've really enjoyed. But I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that themselves out. And one of the ways the challenge was most apparent was with Shabbat, the Jewish Sabbath. Shabbat has a lot of special rituals and rules that go along with it. So the challenges was that those rules didn't always go along with what mates were doing. So, for example, I wouldn't be able to go to a party on Shabbat or something like that. And one of the good things that happened was that I was able to share some of my observances with my mates and share some of the rituals with them. But the extent to which wasn't able to fully convey what Shabbat means to faith, in my community, and to fully extend. So I guess the challenge that our community faced was kind of recognizing how deep our differences are, and that there are some gaps that we can't bridge. And it's not a conclusion that came too easily, and is sometimes hard to swallow. But that I guess what I say with this is that if we continue to talk about our differences, that truly grow, and that I'm talking about having a very deep dialogue that truly not just differences, but even tensions that we might have because of our differences. And not only can my housemates and community not fully understand experience, and I also can't fully understand theirs. So because of that, this yearly confirmed for me that I want to remain rooted in the Jewish community, but continue to have that kind of dialogue that we all grow from. And that kind of dialogue does not take per night. It's that really time to work on. But I believe that if we do continue to have those kinds of difficult discussions, that we can all continue to grow and change from that.
As sort of the community was spiritually very divergent. We begin with different traditions, but not only that, different levels of intensity of how tradition was part of our identity, how we were to engage spirituality among their values, how much of a desire we had to make the prominent value, or one that, is the fourth of the values, or somewhere in between. All of that was a little bit different in the DC community. And so my year was spent trying to educate all different things, because you've asked a group of us to come together and speak about those that are most intimate to our being, relationship with the divine, relationships with the world, how we see things, how we relate to everything. And those are very hard things to discuss. We reached all satisfactory conclusions. I think that there are things that are question marks still. There are things that we've come to say there's just too much difference there. So I thought more, what did the process of trying to engage spirituality, that big word, give us, and what did we give to one another, and what others give to our spiritualities, even as they are. And I think the process was a very formative one, and one in which we each grew immensely, although the growth was different at different rates and in different ways. But I think we can see sort of a net gain from going over and over again and trying to say, okay, let's try this again. There's some words by Joan Chittister. She says, give us the strength it takes to listen rather than to judge, to trust rather than to fear, to try again and again, to make peace even when peace eludes us. And for a large part of this year, on this issue, it was a point of conflict, and it was a point of discord. But we kept going back. It wasn't something that we ever said, enough is enough. At the Mirror Retreat, we said, okay, how are we going to deal with it this spring? Because the fall wasn't working. And we developed a series of one-to-one meetings that we began. And while those may not have borne as much fruit as we had hoped on the spirituality front, that prepared the community to deal with other challenges that we were confronted with this spring. I think a lot of us appreciate Tali's exposure to Jewish culture and to her traditions that we may not have had experience with before, and within our own different Christian denominations that are present within this community. There's a lot of learning there on sort of a cerebral level. I think we learned how to, or are learning how to be around people, live with people, being in community with people who fundamentally we're not going to find a harmony with. And how do we do the work of justice? How do we live as a community? How do we function together? How do we enjoy each other's company and laugh and have fun, even when the weightier stuff is all present there? And the issues of spirituality, I would venture. I mean, for me, my life with Christ animates everything I do, and I think that's true for a lot of us, that our spirituality doesn't escape any part of our being. And so we had how to live with discomfort, with tension, with open pain, and yet continue the work we were doing, continue the good things we were doing. And that is a tremendous growth. So endpoint, maybe we were wrong in even thinking there was an endpoint we would reach where it would all be good. I think there was a way there, but the problem one that as difficult it has been, I can honestly say now it was a worthwhile one, and it was one that engaging, I thought, oh, how are we ever going to do this? But looking back, I think it's a real blessing to do this, because it has been a sort of immense growth and also bring of love. I mean, we just had to sort of love each other through this whole thing. And I don't know what love means and what it actually is, but I just know it was present in our community. So it's the I think that maybe challenged DC but it's also the one I think we got. So. Oh. That's fine.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm really happy that we have an honest in this space tonight. I just think that's really exciting and rare in a public setting. So thanks for being part of that. Let's move along to our next question, which for our next panelist, value of simple living. How have you and your community practiced simple living, and how do you want to continue to live this value forward? Obviously, you would just move that. That would be great.
Question, I couldn't think of it on myself. This we've really reflected, thank you, the surveys that we filled out before this year even started, and it's kind of laughable when I look at my answers. Frankly, a little embarrassing. Some of the things that I actually to Katie Jones. When I thought about simple living, I saw how much we'd be getting a month, and I thought, oh, okay, what do I do with this? And immediately I went to budgeting and how am I going to survive? And into our community in St. Louis, we started with just Kate and I, just the two of us. We were we're just fine in terms of money. We have plenty of it between the two of us. So we know enough how we spend it. And we had to think about that. We had to intentionally choose where we're going to buy our products from and how we're going to use them. And this with Jill joining our community in October. Jill doesn't eat meat, whereas Katie and I had previously. And one of our first conscious decisions to no longer consume meat as a community. We thought it would be wasteful to make and really need it anyway. So our first really intentional decisions of where and how we're going to be spending our money. And as we know the Lorettos a little bit better and realize that you are spread out all across the country, we wanted to see you and video. We we're actually in Colorado, so we decided to drive out there for ourselves. We came to Kentucky. We decided to bring Jill to the mother house to introduce her to the craziness and loveliness that is Loretto, Kentucky. And we, by saving up our grocery money and making, again, that intentional decision that it's more important to us as a community to come here to spend time with you, to get to know you and your values and how you live these values, models for us, that it's spend our grocery money and spend it on gas to get here, and to have hospitality from you, so we now how to reciprocate it in our house. Make the 12-hour trek out to Denver, which I think proves how strong our community is, the fact that no one killed each other on that car ride out there. And what we from these trips, from this intentionally choosing to spend our money to know the greater community relationships, and I think they're invaluable. We cannot live values if we don't see how we live. Most importantly, we must to work every type of situation. I know for me, working in education, it was amazing to see Havern School in Denver. It was amazing to talk to the sisters that started that school. To get influence from sisters who started Marion Middle School, where I work, to hear how you handled classrooms of 60 people when I can hardly handle 20. So really that symbol I eventually, throughout this year, realized had nothing to do with money whatsoever. Slowly realized that it was about the relationships and the experiences that Lorettos tend to live where large alcohol companies are made. So we as a community have now been to Coors, Budweiser, and Maker's Mark.
are just simply living. The tours are free. Miss Mark wasn't, no. But covered that, so thank you. So what I take away from here of building relationships and realizing that it isn't all the money, is community really is essential to it. I couldn't do experiences by myself. I couldn't car ride by myself. I think it would be to meet all of you if I was alone. And I certainly would not have survived working at a middle school without all of your helpful insight and my to come home to and tell stories to. So, simply at first was an incredibly challenging concept to wrap my head around. Even now talking about it, it's still challenging to explain. All of it, you just have to live it in order to experience it. But I will certainly try to continue that. I move in with two awesome roommates who I call Mom and Dad. Very exciting. Just trying to take the values, the openness. Now as an adult, I can all that they've done, and try to build those relationships that I've started to develop with you. Appreciate all you in the world and in our community, and see the value of those that have come before me. Can everyone hear me? Great. So when I was thinking about how to talk about simple lot about our adventures with dumpster diving, or with compost, or how to repair bikes. Sorry, is that better? Okay. They're all important skills that I learned and will continue to use in the future, but I want to take one that meant a lot to me and talk about how that kind of embodied simple living. So in March, we attended the rally by 350.org for climate change, and it was the largest environmental rally in U.S. history. It was attended by Molly, Caroline, and I, and it was a wonderful experience. But I think even before we got to the rally, like simple living started part of education. So we heard about this rally. We all sent emails to each other with articles and NPR stories to learn what is the Keystone Pipeline, what are the tar sands, and what's going on. So I think that's a really important element to educate ourselves about the policies and legislation that goes on in this country around environmental issues. Before the rally, we had 10 guests up at our house. It was a friend of a friend who had 10 friends who needed a place to stay. So they stayed at our house. They were environmental studies majors from New Hampshire, and they drove down. We looked into our home. We put a dinner on for a few of them, able to share hospitality with them and hear them what their experience was like at their school. And the rally itself, and so much of that is about really presence. So you know, our eyes and our bodies to presence on the Capitol, one of thousands of people who showed up to hold signs and to listen to music and raise and dancing and all that, and just be part of that movement. And so what's the future that simple living isn't just about the money or the environmental issues per se, but it's about educating ourselves and each other on how to live together, like with that's changing, that fact, and how we can be better stewards of that. So, all right.
Thank you so much. Great song. Can you imagine 10 like doing sleeping bags on the floor or something? It's amazing. Okay. And great connection, like receiving hospitality and then like returning it. It's just great. So So the final question, and then I promise we'll get to a few of yours, is about our fourth value, which is community. What were your achievements as a community this year, and what were the areas for growth?
All right. Well, as we've been discussing all these past few days, is like the main pillars that I think all of the other issues are built upon, and they're all interconnected. But I really think that community wouldn't be able to really exist without other things, because we talk about spirituality and social justice and civil living, and you need a community and you need other people to experience that together. And I'm from the St. Louis community, and coming into August, coming into this, it was just me and Kathleen, and I was unsure about it was just two of us at this, and it's supposed to be a community. And compared to Seahouse, I was a little jealous because they had more people. But at St. Louis, I realized there was already a great Loretto community established there. We just had to walk across the path and put in the code and get into the center, and there was all these lovely people waiting for us and wanted to know our stories, and we were happy to talk with them and share with them, not only at the center, but at St. Louis and the surrounding areas. It's been a great learn about what they've done for the nation, for everyone. Achievements for our St. Louis community. After we got a third, Jillian, our team was pretty great. I'd say going relaxed people, and if we had an issue, we dealt with it. We tried to deal with it right up front, so nothing really boiled over. It's definitely a useful skill to have in real life, at the workplace, in living in maybe another intentional community. And I'll definitely take that with me. Really good at supporting one another. I know that we learned a very hard number to live with today. Claudia told us that 3 is a very hard number. Actually, we had a balance of even there's 3 of us. There was a good balance. There was a good give and take between everyone. And we all supported each other, whether it be during work events or if they needed to vent or let some anger out or issues out. We were to listen and to give some instant input if need be. That's also to have listening is a great skill. And in regards to the DC community, it was great getting to know them at the beginning, at the initial orientation retreat, and then we kind of just, again, we part ways, but we got to see each other at SOA and then back again for the mid-year retreat. And my regret is that we didn't schedule more often, or we didn't do just check in with each other more often, because it would have been great to just learn about their weekly or day struggles and maybe another year. So it's definitely something for the next group of volunteers. Once we got together at SOA or this retreat, it's been we're all best friends. It's great. It's been a really good experience. So I've experienced with our smaller communities, and then our tier communities, and then also with the larger Loretto community, and it's been a good experience, and I thank you all.
Thanks. Helen. So, I agree with Katie that in the DC community, I also feel like there's a lot of the same happening. There was a lot of support. There was a lot of challenges, but there's love and a lot of growth stemmed from those challenges. I think challenge was a really way to community and to engage community, and more so just because I have goals that I want to set for myself and things I do, and my community provided some ability for that. My community provided me with a way to change my way of thinking about things. If I had, recognizing privileges that I have or prejudices that I may have, or just bringing up sources of tension that can allow me to grow an individual and as part of a community and to be a more active member in that community. That was a good thing for me, and also just know that even in those areas of tension, like I think we heard from Bob and Holly that there was a little, there is some tension as there is anywhere, but to support it as I'm feeling that tension is something that is weird but amazing feeling. To know that I can sit in a room and think or the things that I'm feeling and have that supported, even if it's not here all the time. So I have really appreciated that came out of those moments. I also felt really good about, even though we didn't keep in touch as much as I would have liked, there with the St. Louis Volunteer House, having a retreat with them, being here with them, really provided with another aspect, like another perspective on all of these values as well as like other things in general. Seeing different people's ways of thinking about things has been really helping me with that. So I think this community, the Mother community, those members of Loretto, co-members, have really, even in DC, there aren't as many vowed members as where we can punch in a little code and say, "Oh, hi, sister, give me some advice." It was sort of support wasn't as physically available, but I still felt support from this community as a whole, and I could reach out to people and just felt really part of the city, not just a small community in DC or like a smaller sub piece of Loretto. I felt like I was really part of what you have made and helped, and that was really special for me because I look up to you as just inspiring human beings, and it's been really cool to have the work that you have all did. That is really cool. I think community said also is interconnected with all of these values, and so seeing ways that you have lived out social justice, or you live out your spirituality, or how you live simple living and hospitality, have made me want to work on all of those things more, and be better at doing them well, I think. So I appreciate that as well. I think that's the
Thank you so much. It's great to hear you bring it back to the broader Loretto community. It's a great segue into a chance to invite folks to ask questions that they might have. Little process point, what I think we have so many people out in TV land and here, the best way to move forward would be to take question from the Mother House and one question from each of the two centers, since we've got a bunch of people in Denver and St. Louis, and then Rebecca is going to help us go down if there's anybody else in TV land. Because Mother House folks, if they have other questions, ask after too. So, and the other process point is, in the interest of time, we'll probably have just one person field each question, unless two are just chomping at the bit. Okay? All right. So, does anyone have a question? And what you can do is say it, and I'll repeat it into the mic for everybody. Yeah, they were very comprehensive, I know. Yeah, the world wants to see you. You can come up here if you want. It's okay. It's great. It's really kind of, yeah. I don't repeat it. You'll say it better.
Just to thank you very much for your life and in service and to others. It's a really gracious and generous thing to do. So thank you for doing it. I wanted to ask you, if you look across your entire experience, the personally, sort of professionally what you were doing, the interpersonal stuff in your community, the first thing that comes to your mind, what's the thing, and you came in with awesome preconceived ideas, right? I want this, I'm doing this for this, and they change over time. What thing that surprised you the most?
My greatest surprise, I came in having an education background, Marion Middle School, thinking I'll work with kids for a year and I'm out of here. And now I've been hired by Marion Middle School and I'm going to work there and I hope to go into education. And for months, I denied to my principal, no, this is fun, but I just don't see myself do this the rest of my life. I do this. And especially just seeing hard teachers work was shocking for me. I know you all work hard, but seeing it firsthand, the sweat, the tears, the words held back, you end up, you go home physically drained, but of it, you come back because of the kids, because of your passion for it. So it changed in me, and even after it changed, I continued to not deny it just because I didn't want to admit that I was wrong. But it was definitely my biggest change. I cannot thank you enough for this opportunity because it changed my whole perspective on the world, on my life, and what I will be doing with it. So thank you all.
Is there anyone else on the who wants to address that question? It's a good one. They're asking it. Was that a yes? Okay. All right. Let's get on, and this is where things get tricky with the WebEx world, but I know Rebecca's got our back on this. So let's do the St. Louis Center. I see some shaking heads.
I took the microphone.
Oh, God.
I should move the camera so you could see me. Actually, somebody here has a question, but I have a comment a couple comments to make. First of all, I'm not sure who did the training of the convent computer room. You should know that I had a report today from Sister Martha. A good job was done up there and how much it was appreciated. So,
a lot. Yeah, many of us, all of these young folks were doing some computer training here on computer stuff. Very exciting and useful. Yeah. So, Brian.
When I look at those desktops, I know who to point to now when they're screwed up, right?
A bunch of them.
The other thing I wanted to say is just for just speak for myself here in St. Louis. It's been just such an incredible experience. Have you three young women here living next to the center. And opportunity that I've had to interact with you, Jillian maybe a little more than the other two, but the opportunity I've had to interact with you two has been just such a gift. And I appreciate it very much. We're here as well.
I just want to say, as the former volunteer coordinator, that it's a thrill to hear and see you all and everything you've done, spoken of. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb.
And then from St. Louis.
All right. Denver Center folks, any questions for us?
Yes, we've got a question, and Natalie, actually, I'm going to have you go over by the. There you go, so they can all see you. And while Natalie's asking, I'm just going to make a quick announcement for those of you out, as Katie is saying, in TV land. If you have a question, would you raise your hand on the WebEx so I can see that, and then I'll know where to direct us next.
Thank all of you for giving us your time and your energy this year, and for the actual learning that occurred through being with us in Loretto. And I just want to invite you to continue the journey with us, and so that the learning continues to be mutual. You bring intergenerationality to us, and in your being young, we are young with you once again. So thank you.
That's a great, you'll get a question, Denver, if you want it.
Okay.
Uh-oh. I think that's to hear emotions like that.
Okay. You were all so well spoken that there's no questions here in Denver. And not seeing. Wait, hold on. But wait. Pro McGivney.
Many orders right here. Where to stand. I just want to say, in addition to everyone else has said, we give great thanks to Katie Jones. Claudia Calzetta. Both Katie and Claudia have walked with you, had your journey, have shared learnings, and from you. And we're grateful to them and to you.
Pearl.
I am not seeing other hands, so I might just go down the line real quick to make sure if somebody has something to say, they get a chance to say it. So, Anna, I'm going to pass the mic to you quick.
Oh.
Well, have to say anything.
Everyone, especially you all who I've met and just had the pleasure of being with twice last year in D.C. And it's always so inspiring to me to sit down at the table with you and hear stories and to know your commitment to the core values of Loretto, as well as lots of other values that just are so important to us. So thank you for all of that, and just really glad that both Bob and Molly are going to continue with another year. That's really great. Although, Bob, I guess you're going on the payroll, huh? That's good. That's good. And we also, Katie, who's going to continue at Miller?
Caroline will be continuing as a Loretto volunteer at Academy of Hope, and Kathleen will be continuing at her placement as a third. I'd just
like to say that those kinds of choices
bring closer and closer to Loretto. And you should all think about some deeper kind of membership. Librarians, proud membership, I mean, whatever you'd be interested in. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for that suggestion and invitation, Anna.
Barbara, I'm going to pass the mic to you, and then Kathy, you're actually next.
Can you? That's a good thing.
Yeah, if you turn on your video camera, then we could see it, but otherwise, we know you're talking. Go ahead.
I think I'll leave it the air of mystery here. In giving a year of your life, Loretto. Let me just ask you, going forward, isn't that you want or need from us going forward?
That's a great. All right, Jill's going to start us off with it.
Very good question. Can you hear me? Okay, good. It's something that we have talked quite a bit about on this closing retreat. Something that I don't think we've had a lot of closure with, but I think something that we all agree on is that we want to maintain this relationship, and we can't do that alone. And I think some of us can get kind of afraid, and we don't want to impose, but we want to continue getting to know each and every Loretto and really building that friendship and that relationship, and really communication no matter where we go, which might be hard because while some of us are staying in our placements, some of us will be moving to other places where some Lorettos are not. But to really keep us not only in your prayers, but really just to keep in contact with us. Feel free to ask us for any contact information and know if there's any fun parties that we should be a part of. Because we like that. But to really keep us in thought. We will be keeping you all in thought. And I think that's the one thing that we'll really need to maintain is that communication.
The other thing I would ask for is that you continue to be a visionary presence in our world and in the Catholic Church. Being a young person and Catholic, it's sort of tough to think about where will I be in 50 years? Who's going to be sitting in the pews around me, and what's going to be going on? Not just that, but also this all had that motivates us to go into the margins, but also to find margins that aren't being seen even by the mainstream, and something in Loretto that I hope, I don't know value or what it is, but just the vision that this community has had throughout the years, and I learn more of the history and hear things from conversations and whatnot. Is a gift to our world that is dearly, dearly needed. Is with imaginations, with dreams, with prophetic insight to guide those of us who are to do work, but don't have the wisdom, aren't necessarily seeing things as clearly from our place in our 20s. And so much for you and work with you. So just keep being Loretto, because we really need you looking forward in our coming years. Loretto be Loretto forever. It's been my car since November.
And there too, two-way street, but thank you. That's great. Back to Rebecca to keep facilitating.
Okay, so Kathy, you're next up on the list, and after that is Maureen O'Connell. 5.
And we're 10 minutes together, just so you know.
Five.
This is Dee Muller, and I didn't have a hand up. However, I also do want to express my gratitude. I guess I'm the Kathy that they're calling on. I would like to hear from the others who haven't said where you're going to be going this coming year. I'm impressed with what you will take with you, your experiences this year, the learnings, the challenges, all of that. But for those who have not said where you were going, what your next step is, I would like to hear that.
We'll just start you and go down the line, if that's all right.
So this is Jill speaking again, and at this point, I'm still a little bit undecided. I know that the St. Louis community, unfortunately, will be ending in a week, and I'm very sad to say that. But I'm going to go home for 2 weeks to Cleveland, Ohio, and then go backpacking in Glacier National Park for 2 to 3 weeks. I think I'll end up moving back to St. Louis and working with the Interfaith Committee on Latin America to organize around the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, which if you don't know what that is, come ask me, because I like to talk about it.
Hey, this is Tali again. My plans are actually still up in the air at this point, but I would like to continue working in public radio or audio production or something like that. So I'm looking right now for job opportunities.
Hi, I'm Wendy again, and I'm going to be starting at Yale Divinity School in the fall with a Master of Arts in Religion and a concentration in Women's, Gender, and Sexuality Studies. I'm really excited about it. It's my favorite thing to study. And if any of you are in New Haven and want to hang out in a really cool town, come visit me. So.
Katie, and I will be attending physical therapy school in the fall back home at University of Maryland Eastern Shore. So working at family care health centers was a great opportunity to learn about other aspects of healthcare. I worked with a lot of low-income people with no insurance. So it was a good background, a good broad background for me.
Okay, that was a great question.
Okay, so I'm going down the list. I'm sorry, not everybody has hands up, but I wanted to make sure that anybody with a question would have a chance, and we've been getting some really good ones, so it seems working. Maureen O'Connell, you are up next, and you've got a lot to think.
To say I don't have a question, but I tuned in because I wanted to be inspired, and I'm telling you, I've not been disappointed. So I thank you for all of your really thought-provoking and very honest answers, and I feel like you are all fellow travelers. So thank you.
Amen.
All right, and Sharon Kessing, we'll give you a voice here. You mic if you want it.
A minute. Either, but I just wanted to say that doing this was worth every bit of the 45 minutes that my brother and Rebecca put into it, since I'm in Phoenix and not at my house. It was all worth it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Indeed. And Kim, I'm going to turn it back over to you at the Mother House.
Okay.
I think
Wonderful.
that's good.
Okay, we can either wrap up early, or if people have questions here, I think Mary Swain does for starters. So come on up, ask it, or whatever.
Responding to wanting to stay in touch, and I thought maybe those of us who want to could ask Katie to send us the addresses to the group. So I figured the easiest way is just to ask you.
Priya, this is great. I saw, yes, sir. Coming up. Yourself, yeah.
My name is Wolfgang Bucher, and I am a co-member in process in Kansas City. So let's just suggest you. Kind of full circle on what I think Lillian brought up. She got the question asked to her about how such a beautiful young person could be working on such depressing issues, and if there's something that I've learned about in Loretto is how holistic the experience is. That while we do work on very serious and sometimes heart-wrenching issues, there is sort of a truthfulness and a hilarity that comes with being a part of this community. So I guess my question is, who has the funniest Sisters of Loretto story of this group? Because we all have them. So I thought maybe we'd end on a light note.
Oh my God. So good. That's so good.
St. Louis Hospital.
Wait, does Claudia have a comedy interim? Well, continues. Oh, it's too real. Your question is too real.
Much too close a question. But I would like to say, as the assistant manager, it's an absolute delight and pleasure to work with my boss, Katie Jones. And it has been wonderful to know that to make the final decision, I defer to Katie all the time. She is just absolutely wonderful to work with. And this group is just extraordinary. And it's really my first group. But and you judge the next group by the first group. That's not fair to do. But and it's not a joke. But I just want you to know that they are absolutely extraordinary. Every single one of them has a different gift to grow our community, and I learned so much from it. And when I left campus ministry, I thought back into ministry with young adults because they laugh and they keep me young. Don't want to do that. So I want to thank them, each one of them, sincerely for the gift that they bring to us, that they've brought to the program, and they've enriched all of our lives.
Thanks, Claude. Yeah, Loretto stories. Okay, we'll wrap up with the community story. That's good too. Who's telling it?
So the three of us know the code to get into the St. Louis Center, which was probably a very serious mistake, because on Tuesday nights, cookies sometimes disappear from the St. Louis Center kitchen. Our mailbox is in the center, so we check daily, and at first we're like, there's cookies here on a pretty regular basis. Okay, let's flip some. And then we learned that they are baked on Tuesdays. So suddenly, on Tuesdays, we'd sneak over. On Tuesdays? Just stop by, see the sisters, have a good time, eat some cookies. We'd make our way over, we'd get there, there'd be a full tray when we'd get there, and when they'd wake up the next morning, there was about half a tray of cookies to last them the week when usually they have their full tray. As an away present, we had a lovely dinner together. We got to eat with the sisters. Lunch-ish time. We still have a couple of days in St. Louis. And this giant bags of cookies. So still our addiction, honestly, at this point.
Lest you think that the DC community has no sense of humor, I think I speak for all of us. This feels like a congressional testimony right here with my name and the mic. So we will take the fifth on this one, but know that we have had a wonderful time with Sister Janine, Sister Maureen, and some of the co-members in the DC community, and many, many laughs.
Follow-up questions for any of them, Mary's idea, I'll have everybody's email addresses. I hope that you'll be in touch with them in the day with you. We're close up, but Kathleen Vonderhaar has her hand raised. Yeah, clearly tonight, if we've learned nothing else, it's that the Loretto community are just absolute whiz with online video communication. It's unbelievable. So welcome to this greater world. We're glad to introduce this to you tonight. We hope that you'll participate in many, many WebEx events in the future. On that note, thanks so much for being a supportive community, for listening tonight, asking your good questions, and good night, everyone out in TV land, and thanks to everyone here at Mother House.